hireling fleeth, because he is a hireling, and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and knoweth my sheep, and I am known of mine. As the Father knoweth me, even so know I the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and they shall be one fold and one shepherd. Therefore doth my Father love me, because I lay down my life, that I may take it again. No man taketh it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have the power to lay it down, and I have the power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Father. There was a division therefore among the Jews for these sayings, and many of them said, He hath a devil, and is mad. Why hear ye him? Others said, These are not the words of him that hath a devil. Can a devil open the eyes of the blind? That was fun. All right, so I'm going to use my cheat code and do my notes kind of sporadically as I go. So a lot of people use this in the terms of the Good Shepherd message. I've reading it this time through, saw the door, and I was thinking heavily into the door because, I mean, Jesus already tells us he's the way, the truth, the life, and here he is telling us he's the door, and it's basically the same message, just different wording. And he talks about how that you can come through the door. Let me double check where I was at. Like I said, I'm a lot better when I do my notes. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. So he's saying that you have the freedom to make your choices still, but coming in the door is the important part. You have to come to Christ. You have to be able to come forth. So this follows, at least thematically, in John's gospel after the great conflict where the religious leaders regarding the man that was born blind. The religious leaders had shown themselves to be so unhelpful and cruel to the man, his parents, and the common people in general that Jesus felt it necessary to talk about the contrast between his heart and work as a leader to God's people and the heart and work of many of the religious leaders of that day. Political and spiritual leaders were often called shepherds in ancient worlds, and there's some examples that I won't get into because I didn't give Eli any scripture. But Jesus explained that not everyone among the sheep is a true shepherd. Some are like thieves and robbers. Ones that are being marked as thief and robbers they're there for the wrong reason. They're there for gain. They didn't go through the proper way to even get there. They're basically there for whatever can be best for them. And as a shepherd, that's not what it's about. It's about your flock. The religious leaders gained their place among God's people, the sheep spoken of here, through personal and political connections, through formal education, through ambition, manipulation, and corruption. A true shepherd comes into the legitimate and designed way through love, calling, care, and sacrificial service. God always intended his people to be led, fed, and protected by those who come in the legitimate intended way. The door is there for a reason. Some will always climb over barriers, but God has put the barriers and the doors there for a reason. He wants you to go about it the right way. No shortcuts are going to get you there. That's how you think you're in a higher place than what you truly are. To him the doorkeeper opens. In the spiritual picture Jesus spoke of, the door from the sheep pen had a doorkeeper, one who watched who came in and went out. The doorkeeper knows the true shepherd and appropriately grants him access. So in this period of time, this would be, they would have more than one flock of sheep also. So for this one man to see all these different sheep and remember, okay, this shepherd brought those sheep, this shepherd brought those sheep, and it wasn't up to him to separate them when the sheep were ready to be called out. What it was the shepherd called the sheep by name and showed a personal connection with the sheep. When Jesus calls us, we should recognize his voice. The shepherd leads them, providing direction and leadership without driving the sheep. We don't, how do I word this? As a shepherd, as somebody leading a congregation, we have pastors, everybody else, trying to force somebody isn't what's going to work. I mean, I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and you can't force them to do things. You can, but it's a lot easier if they choose to do it because you're not fighting them the whole time through. So if you allow somebody to know and you direct them into making a decision on their own and come to the voice that's calling them, they're going to be a lot better off. In the common sheepfolds, the shepherd merely gave a distinct call, and the sheep would come out from amongst the others, following him out of the sheepfold. Sheep are experts at discerning their shepherd's voice. There's a fun little story here. During World War I, some soldiers tried to steal a flock of sheep from a hillside near Jerusalem. The sleeping shepherd awoke to find his flock being driven off, and he couldn't recapture them by force. I mean, it's a shepherd against soldiers. It never would go well. And so he called them with a distinct call, and the sheep legitimately, it didn't matter what those soldiers were doing, turned around and walked away and came back to the shepherd. I think we need to be willing to do the same. If we stagger, we have our moments, we need to come back to our call. This is a picture both of the work of Jesus among his sheep and of what those who seek to serve among the sheep of Jesus should focus on. I'm going to skip that part. Jesus used another picture from sheep farming in the time where he says that I am the door of the sheep. Out in the pasture lands, pens were made with only one entrance, and the door for the pen would normally be the shepherd himself. He would lay across it and end up barricading, so if anything were to come up, he's going to be the first to know. That'd be an interesting way to meet a wolf. You're laying there asleep, and next thing you know, you wake up because he wants your sheep, but hey, that's what you're there for. So the word thief in this implies deception and trickery, where robber implies violence and destructions. These take away life, but Jesus gives life, and he gives it abundantly. These are con men and muggers of the spiritual world. Like I said, I'm doing cliff notes, so excuse me. Jesus seems to say that his sheep are evident because they will not hear or follow another's voice like when a thief or a robber calls. And I wholeheartedly agree with that, but at the same point, I know from personal experience, sometimes you get tricked, and sometimes you make response to a call that you probably shouldn't have even came to, and you got to be willing to say, I messed up, here I am, and go back to your shepherd. Jesus described, so he will be saved to go in and out and find pasture. Jesus described the settled, satisfied life enjoyed by his sheep, those over whom he exercises the shepherd's care. Once again, if you have the right shepherd in place, your life's going to be much better than what it could be. If you have the hireling type shepherd that isn't there for anything more than a paycheck, we have churches that are firm examples of that in this world. I mean, it's sad to say, but it's notable because there's a lot of them standing there in front of you that all they're there for is your money. They're there to see how many likes they can get on Facebook. They're there to see how many people they can get. They want a new Cadillac in the parking lot. They want, the mega church with thousands of people. I would take a church with 20 of you guys out in the middle of a peach orchard any day over somebody that's there for fake pretense. So I have come that they may have life, and they may have life more abundantly. Jesus said this to contrast his shepherd-like care with the unfaithful and illegitimate leaders. They come to steal, kill, and destroy, to where Jesus comes to bring life to his people. Abundant life isn't an especially long life. Abundant life isn't an easy life or a comfortable life. Abundant life is a life of satisfaction and contentment in Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because pizza's sitting in front of my face and it smells really good. But basically, just the only point that I could really come up with that just stood on me this whole time with this was the fact that it's not that he is the only way that he is, but it's the fact that he's a door that isn't locked, it isn't back, it's not barricaded, it's right there for us to walk through. And we just have to be willing to hear the call and do so. So it's good to be back in front of you guys.
And he'll let you in. Okay, today is Uncle Dick's 70th birthday. And yeah, so we wanted to have just a few minutes. It's Army pizza time. That means you got to eat fast. Yeah. Well, you don't, I guess you don't have to eat fast. I have to eat fast because I got a lesson to teach. You guys can just sit there and listen. And since Sister Cheryl has a bad knee, we have opted to eat in the sanctuary. I thought we'll have pizza and sit in the basement, blah, blah, blah. But I got to take care of my girl over there. And I don't want her to have to walk downstairs. So come get some pizza. And when you see Uncle Dick, he's the skinny little guy now. Come on, Uncle Dick, you get pizza first. Yep. Breadsticks, sausage pizza, a supreme with no mushrooms. I wonder who that's for. Uncle Dick, and a taco pizza. There's mushrooms on that. Come on and get something. She did say jerks, yes. Come on, guys. Come on. Now that was sound. You eat this, and I'll go down there with Bob. I know. That's the first mistake, right?